elephants. You are always here in my field, day in, day out. Every season is either you are eating my watermelon or you are actually going to my storage head and destroy it. How on earth can you do this to me? I'll kill you.
Do this to you?
So that you can stop.
Hello, how do you expect me, a national treasure, to live? I am the only elephant in your entire region. How can you not try and feed me? I can't help that you have the water, you have the food. I also live here. I also should survive. And imagine if you kill me, who are the tourists coming to see?
This food that I store is for my children, for my grandchildren, for my family. It's not for elephants, it's not for lions, it's not for monkeys, it's actually not for mongoose.
Don't compare me to all those other small animals. Hello? I am the national treasure, and talking about family, I also have to reproduce, and now you're talking about killing me. So mean.
So, then what now? If you're saying there's no food and you are destroying my food, now what? And you said I can't kill you.
I think we have to find a common ground of where we both can live in the same place and maybe share the food and water.
No. Coexisting with an elephant? No ways! You will destroy all my crops here. You will actually pull and push everything around here.
Hello, if I also had food on my side, why would I go over to you?
Do you think a common ground will work?
Maybe.
So we need to coexist.
Maybe.
And this actually brings us to today's topic, human-wildlife conflict. I'm your host Esther, aka a human being.
I'm Sharissa, aka Elephant, and welcome to your favorite Enviro show.
So stay tuned.
Right now we are at These are the LRCs of David Besaidenout who took time out of their Saturday afternoon to help with the cleanup campaign. And how is it? How are you feeling after that?
Great.
I mean, we're still busy. Is there still more litter to pick up?
There's still a few.
Do you guys know what kind of trees we're planting today?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Strawberries.
Oh.
Mangoes. Guava.
I do not know.
Oranges.
Oranges. We'll be planting about 5 trees today here at David Besaidenout. But we just really want to say thank you so much for everyone who has been participating in the cleanup campaign with the Youth Enviro Show.
Of this nature can never be undone. Can we go green? Can we go clean to save this nature? The beauty of this nature and nature can never be undone. Can we go green? Can we go clean to save this nature? The beauty of this nature can never be undone. Can we go green? Can we go clean to save this nature?
Everything we do has its consequences. We
must educate our schools and tell them once more how to keep our window clean, so it goes back to a number 1 clean.
In our hands to do our share.
The beauty of this nature can never be undone. Can we go green? Can we go clean to save this nature? The beauty of this nature and nature can never be undone. Can we go green? Can we go clean to save this nature? The beauty of this nature can
today we are going to explain more what human-wildlife conflict is. Maybe you're wondering, what is human-wildlife conflict? So Sharessa, tell us.
Well, human-wildlife conflict is when humans and the wildlife such as elephants, lions, and baboons are in conflict over the excess of food and water. And we already know that land is small, is not enough. And it's not enough because only certain types of land can actually produce food and water.
And this could also be the cause of climate change, as we have been talking about climate change. Due to drought, drought is causing this place to be like not having enough food and enough water. This is the reason why elephants and lions are actually moving towards where people are living.
Exactly.
Because this place there is food. Of course, if I'm planting watermelons, which is elephant's favorite, she's saying yummy. Why? Because you're an elephant and I'm human. Actually, of course, the elephant will come and enjoy my crops.
Yeah.
However, it's also because of the population that has increased. So as much as we grow, as much as the population increases, it's actually stretching itself. We are stretching beyond our territory.
Exactly.
And we are moving on to wildlife.
Exactly, closer to where wildlife could actually be living.
The question is, which are problematic animals?
Okay, problematic animals. Like Esther mentioned, she says, the elephant, am problematic. I don't think so. But elephants in many communities are considered problematic because they do go in for the crop and they actually tear down the storage huts that people had set up. Lions are also known to be problematic animals because they go after the yummy sheep, goats, cattle. And in European countries, they see foxes and wolves as problematic animals. And they constantly are targeting a specific, home or a specific steed. So they are seen as problematic animals because they're constantly targeting that specific area and that specific home.
And there are animals that constantly go to that place. For example, an elephant bull. It does constantly. Research have shown that once an elephant bull goes into a field, most of the time, it normally goes back there. It becomes a routine. Yeah, and lions as well. Sometimes they actually now choose, once they taste the sheep's meat, now all
they want is just that.
Yeah, every time it's just that.
Yeah, and like they say, animals, especially elephants, have good memories. Yeah, so they wouldn't forget where the grass tastes greener.
And this is bringing us to the next question. Who suffers?
Who do you think suffers the most between wildlife and human conflict?
Comment right down below.
Well, I think we both are suffering because we both are on the losing end when we are constantly in conflict with each other.
Yeah, imagine if I kill you as an elephant, when you eat up my crops, when you just destroy my storage hut that I have actually kept my grain, my mahangu for a very long time, and then I kill you. So
it's a lose-lose situation. And firstly, also the constant killing, because some communities actually, those are their protective measures that they take. But then it means that, our animals are going extinct or they are dying off. And sometimes it's not that, they're even going to at least use the animal's skin or anything. It's just they just leave him there to just die.
Yeah, but also humans suffer as well, not just wildlife, because now I don't have food to feed my children, I don't have food to sell.
Yeah.
I don't have an income anymore because you came and eat up all my veggies and all my watermelons. Yeah, and this actually brings us to our next question,
which is the cost.
Yes.
The direct cost of damage that the conflict is having on both sides, which I can name one, or Esther has been naming quite a few if you have been paying attention, which is then her loss of income.
Exactly. And another thing is that loss of my children. For
death.
example, animals such as lions, they could hippos, crocodiles. These animals actually can come and kill my children. So there was a lot of injury, there's a lot of death, and also there's a lot of loss of income, as you said.
Exactly, loss of income and property damage as well, because like we've mentioned, bulls and elephants, they go back targeting a certain position, or let's say that's where the grain has been stored, and now they throw your hard work, what you have built, they destroy it, or sometimes they even destroy the trees in their way, and your house could be, or houses in
Holes for your
exactly
fence.
exactly, and now all of that has been destroyed flat to the ground, and you have to start all over again.
So human wildlife conflict, it really brings a lot of frustration to humans as well as to wildlife.
Yeah, it does bring frustration to wildlife, and I mean, we'd be like, oh, but we don't know, we're both humans. But if you think about it, animals also get stressed out.
Yeah.
Animals do experience some form of, frustration, because they aren't able to eat. They aren't able to actually live freely, because imagine, animals are made to roam around, but then they can't, because now they're humans within, this encampment where they are.
And this actually brings us to what we should do. We were talking about coexisting here before actually we went for break.
Yeah.
So now the question is this: what are we going to do, or which coexisting methods must we use? For example, according to the research that we have done, is that one effective way is to reduce the crop field so that animals can actually roam around, and then us human beings, we just plant a little bit of our crops.
Exactly. And also, I'd like to use an example of Zimbabwe, when they had started using the PAR project method, which is the problematic animal reporters, or they set up game guards. So then in the year of 1989, they had actually been killing off 44 elephants.
44?
Yes, 44 elephants. Those elephants were basically getting close to extinction. After the project had officially been running for years, in 1991, they only ended up killing 3 elephants.
Wow.
And now the thing is, I think that those 3 elephants were most probably a real threat, because that is also, as research has proven, that that the community and the wildlife organizations, they get to decide and decipher what actually, or who actually is a problematic animal. And I believe with that 3, they were probably resistant to the change, and unfortunately they had to kill them. But that project system really helped to reduce the amount of deaths.
Wow, that is quite amazing. And here in Namibia, there's a lot of policies actually that goes on. The government, the Ministry of Environment and Tourism, is actually sending out policies out there when it comes to human-wildlife conflict. EIF, known as Environmental Investment Fund in Namibia, has rehabilitated over 163 boreholes countrywide in areas where both human and wildlife live, such as Unkoronkadi in the northern part of the country. The fund made sure that human and wildlife coexist by building separate water infrastructures for both wildlife as well as for human beings. Actually, in some countries, research have shown that many people, they have planted chilies at the outskirts of the field. So outside you plant chilies, and inside you now plant your real crops. And this actually deters the elephants to come through or to come and destroy your crops.
Really, I didn't think, or I never knew chilies would work. I mean, when our parents, the grass, water bottles to keep the dogs off the grass. But chilies and elephants, wow, they maybe ate it one time and it's like, oh, it burns.
Yeah.
But then also another form of what people have been trying to do is using electric fences. And I've seen it actually around farms. They use electric fences to ward off animals. Because I mean, once you get choked, your skin is getting fried, so they wouldn't want to come back again.
Yeah, even their crowds, they had to protect it and put electric fences as well. And they have also introduced something called Mboma. As well. Yeah, and then there's also a bay watch. Like, for example, in Namibia, in the Kavango, in the northern part of the country, they have actually introduced a certain place where they build. It's a little bit high upstairs, where people can be there. And then when they see the threatening animals such as a lion or elephants, when they see them coming through, they take the drumsticks and then they make a sound like to actually chase
Warn them.
away.
Now,
And as well as to warn others about that
animal.
dangerous animal.
Now, even during the nighttime, like whoever sleeps, or do they take rounds? Like,
They take rounds. Very interesting. They really take rounds because on the other hand, they don't want to kill these threatening animals and then they go to jail. They end up being in jail. But also on the other hand, they really have to do this so that they can coexist. And this is what we are talking about now.
exactly, coexisting measures really need to be taken into place, because we don't want, at the end of the day, that our animals, which is, such a beautiful sight for tourists, that we, at the end of the day, we have nothing left for them to see, and for us as well. Namibians love to travel throughout the country. We love to take pride in what we have, right? And that is why it is very important that NGOs, governments, private sectors, such as wildlife conservation companies, are always working together with our local communities as well, our farmers. We need to take a bottom-down approach on how our communities, our farmers, can coexist, or how the conflict between the wildlife and our farmers could somehow not subside, but could be solved. Yeah, balanced.
So don't go anywhere. We are just going for a break. So stay tuned.
Welcome to the most anticipated part of our show, and today we're joined by a honorary guest, the Minister of Environment and Tourism, His Honorable Mr. Pohamba Shifeta. Thank you, sir. It's such an honor to have you on our show.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Sir, as today's topic is about human-wildlife conflict, would you please briefly explain to our audience what is human-wildlife conflict?
In short, human-wildlife conflict is an interaction which is undesirable between human and wild animals, which result into destruction of properties of people in those communities, and also retaliation by those communities that result into killing and retaliation of those animals.
What is the social, economic, and ecological impact of human-wildlife conflict?
Yeah, let me start with economic impact caused by the human-wildlife conflict. Economic impact is that the animals that we are talking about, they are the attraction of tourists. Tourists, when they come to Namibia, they are attracted by our wild animals. That is one. Secondly, the damage caused by these wild animals cause poverty to the people of those communities, because they damage their crops, they kill their domesticated animals, and also when it comes to ecological impact, these animals, because wild animals are there as part of the ecosystems. Where there are no wild animals, you will find that there will be a bush encroachment, is one. And also that these wild animals, when they browse, they, take away some of the undesired plants. you know that wild animals are not like domesticated animals. Wild animals, wherever they are, because they are not dying from this poisonous plant that they kill our domesticated plant. That's why when they those domesticated plants, I even suggested to some of the farmers that we have some farms in the area of Mageti. 2 years ago, I went there and they had to vacate those farms because there are too many poisonous plants. We are trying now to translocate wild animals there because wild animals are not affected by poisonous plants. They only affect domesticated plants. So if you have them, if you have wild animals, they will assist you to uproot those poisonous plants because they don't get affected by that. And also that these wild animals, to have them, it's also where they are in communities. Trophy hunting, it brings progress to the communities. The community get benefits from these animals. They get money when they are trophy hunting, or they sell live those animals. These animals come back to the community or come to the person, the owner, whether it's a state or a private owner, gets money, and also meat for those people that have these animals. So it has got a serious positive impact when you have these animals there. The communities nowadays, when they want to have anything, they take from there. They have quotas. Now this community, they have a conservancy. They don't need to go and buy meat, and they're also good for protein. So they take from those wild animals. So it has got a socio-economic impact on that if you don't have them.
What are the possible mitigation measures that we can take, to reduce the conflict between humans and wildlife?
We have implemented policies, seeing that nowadays this issue of human-wildlife conflict is increasing and is escalating. It is escalating because the population of wild animals are increasing every day because of good laws and policies to protect them. So right now we have more animals than we used to have 100 years ago. And that's what we are saying, and the habitat is becoming shrinking because human encroachment in the habitat of those animals, it has become a problem. Because now when you look at the numbers of animals we have, because those years wild animals were not properly protected.
Yes.
People used to go for hunting, and the hunting was not all regulated by authority, especially in the communal land. It was more of traditional authority, and sometimes traditional authority have no capacity to protect these animals. So people go on hunting. Take a community, for instance, they said every Saturday they are hunting animals. That's why at the end of the day, in those years, from 1950s, animals started shrinking. The population of animals started decreasing. Now, after independence, because of good measures, laws and policies, animals start thriving again. So right now, the animals we have are more than the carrying capacity we have. So we cannot, some of areas we have to, the only way is to either cull them, that means you have to kill them, or translocate them because of the problem of the population. And the conflict is mostly escalated by the competition of resources between the human and the wildlife, and also space. Because the space is very shrinking, the habitats, we are encroaching because of the development. We're encroaching in the habitats of these animals. Definitely the animals have to fight back. And I always tell people that animals are just protecting their habitat. You went to encroach, and you do not really mind about whom you found there.
Yes.
We have to create some kind of policy in order to ensure that we have created corridors for these animals, so that there's a passage for them to pass, especially when it comes to new farming units that to agree, whether it's in a communal land or commercial land. We need to make sure that there are some kind of measures put in place to allow corridors for these animals, and also increasing some water points.
You did mention, that there is progression, especially with the increase in number of animals that we have, wild animals that we have now in Namibia. And so I would like to ask as my last question, where do we see, Namibia in the future regarding human-wildlife conflict? Because there has been progress made. And how far is this progress going to go as you see it in the future?
With measures that we have taken, good policies and laws, we are implementing that. We are hopeful that we will be able to live side by side with these animals. We also create awareness every day in communities where there are animals, so that we minimize this conflict between human and wildlife. So mitigation factors are there, and this is one we have to make sure that we implement, and the communities also understand that this is how to mitigate human-wildlife conflict. And so awareness campaign, people also to respect territories of where animals are, and also encroachment for especially communities, leaders. They must understand that at least there are some areas that we have to leave for wild animals to protect and conserve our biodiversity. So they are aware now, community leaders are aware, and they are cooperating well. So that's a good thing that they are cooperating. There are some areas that we say, no, look, even in a community, I know that many people need space, they need to have their own crops and fields, but there are also one area that you need to look at, and that is more on economic factor, that we cannot just encroach in a space where in a habitat of animals, where we have wild animals. So we have to reserve those areas for wild animals. And most of the leadership, in the traditional leadership, they understand this.
That's good to hear. Well, Your Honorable Minister, we thank you so much for the time that you made to talk to us today.
Very good. Welcome.
Well, there you have it, another interesting and informative interview. Well, from me, Shirisa, until next time, bye. Welcome back. I know, you guys were so surprised at the guest that we just had now, We just keep on setting the bar higher and higher.
So coming back to what we can do to coexist with animals, actually researchers have found out that for us human beings and wildlife to coexist, somehow human beings have to train puppies, which are actually herder dogs, and this is normally taking place where hyenas, where cheetahs, where jackals, where foxes, these small animals, not necessarily small, but where this animal actually go and hunt the livestock. So these dogs are being trained to actually follow and guard these animals.
Nice. And in Namibia?
Yes, the farmers surrounding the Cheetah Conservation Fund, which is also known as CCF, they are all actually trained to train these puppies to learn how to follow and how to herd these livestock.
But now also moving on to land use with, regarding the conflict between farmers and wildlife. It is very important that, farmers have some degree of control
over wildlife, as well as, and they should also benefit. There must be certain benefit. They also want to, to feel like, yes, we are coexisting.
Exactly.
With this guy, and we are also deriving some benefits from them.
It is very important. I mean, because if you think about it, right, you're within the same area with a wild animal, and you from your side, you're ensuring that this wild animal is a national treasure, is being preserved, it also gives you a sense of satisfaction when you know that from the beauty of this animal, you are definitely benefiting something. Because then you could also maybe start, like a guest house, given that you are allowed to by, the conservation areas, that way you are benefiting and you will see the need to coexist with wild animals.
All in all, the farmer's mindset has actually have to change, because let me say, for example, you as an elephant, you are eating up my crops, knowing that at the end of the day I will benefit something. So this will actually help us to coexist.
Yes.
And this brought us to the end of our today's episode. As from me, Esther, aka Human Being,
And me, Sharissa, aka Ellie.
Toodles.